Hello, Atom here, and welcome back to some more Higurashi When They Cry. Let's go find out what's happening with Rika-chan.
フルデ神社か。
みんな公園みたいな感覚で勝手に出入りしてるけど、本当はここは古出家の立派な私有地なんだよ。
So the entire shrine is private property. It really makes you feel the passage of time. 10 or 20 years ago, it would have looked the exact same.
だとすると、フルデ家って結構な旧家なんじゃないのか？
I mean, they are one of the original three families.
代々続いた由緒ある。
ない。おかしいよ。
Rena said something clearly disquieting, so I ran over to her.
どうしたレナ？
リカちゃんとサトコちゃんはいつもここに自転車を止めてるはずなの。
Ah,
ほら、どこにもない。
I took a look around. Indeed, there were no other bicycles aside from the ones we'd taken to get here.
他の場所に止めてる可能性もあるんじゃない？例えば、担いで石段を上がったとか。
女の子には無理だよ、ケイチ君。
Just as she said, I couldn't imagine Rika-chan and Satoko lugging their bikes all the way up there. We hadn't yet knocked on Rika-chan's door, but reality was already sparking some ideas that weren't what you would call good. Maybe they were just parked under some trees and we hadn't noticed them. I refused to believe that not being able to find their bikes here was proof that they
行こうぜ。
disappeared.
家に行った方がはるかに確実だろう。
We all nodded and dashed up the stone steps. We passed through the red arc and came out onto the shrine grounds, which was covered in a neat gravel. It was so quiet here, as though the Watanagashi festival had never happened.
で、リカちゃんたちが住んでいる家ってのはどこにあるんだ？
I'm guessing maybe that.
こっちついてきて。
Rena took the lead and sprinted off. We went towards the assembly hall behind the shrine and looped around behind it. In the darkness of night, we found a small prefab two-story shack that looked like a warehouse.
明かり消えてるね。寝てるんじゃない？ノックしてみよう。
Rena and Mion neared the shack, which didn't really look like a place people would live. They had such a beautiful shrine, so I figured they'd live in an equally beautiful house. It was far from what I had expected.
リカちゃん、サトコちゃん、いる？
Rena shouted up towards the second floor. Her voice was restrained at first, but it steadily grew louder. No answer. In fact, there wasn't any sort of activity in the house at all.
寝てるのかもしれない。起こしてみよう。
Mion banged on the shutter with both hands, and loud sounds echoed into our surroundings. They would have to notice this much noise. They would turn on the light in their room, fling open the windows and yell, "What time do you think this is?" That, however, wasn't happening. There was absolutely no response. Maybe take the ladder and try to look up? Mion stopped slamming her fist on the shutter, and a sudden silence fell over us. The silence roused terrible thoughts in us. I could feel the blood draining from my face.
鍵かかってる。どこかから中に入れないかな。
Rena showed no signs of stopping. It didn't look like she would admit that they weren't there until we went inside and saw for ourselves. That refusal to give in gave me strength.
2階の窓とか鍵をかけ忘れてないかな。俺ちょっと試してみる。
ケイちゃん、はしご。
Mion brought over a ladder that was standing against the house. The footing was a little unstable for me to be climbing it, but Mion held the ladder firmly in place for me. I hadn't climbed too many ladders. My inexperience with them exposed, I climbed up one step at a time and tried to open each window on the second floor.
みーちゃん、私念のため本宅の方も見てくるね。すぐ戻るから。
Rena darted away. What? A main house?
古出家の本当の家だよ。両親が亡くなって以来ずっと放置してあるそうだけど。
あ、そうか。リカちゃんのご両親って亡くなってるんだよな。
As did Satoko's, didn't they? At that point I recalled something else. Wasn't Satoko living here too?
サトコも親なしだよ。親代様のたたりってことで、両親が崖から落っこちてね。お兄さんだったサトシ君もいなくなっちゃって。
サトシって前に聞いた名前だな。
I remembered. He was one who disappeared last year because of a curse.
それ以来、サトコはリカちゃんと一緒にこの小屋で暮らしてるんだよ。互いに身寄りのない一人ぼっち同士。助け合ってね。
本宅って言ったか？そっちで暮らした方が楽だろうに。
The curtains were drawn, so I couldn't get a good look inside to see, but two young girls living together seemed like a pretty tough life.
初めはそうしてたみたい。でも、両親を思い出すから辛いって言って。
Yeah, can only imagine. I had no idea. I feel really bad for them. They were normally so cheerful at school, but I never even realized National of this.
リカちゃんもサトコも大変なんだな。
呪われてるんだよ。
Okay. That came out of nowhere. Suddenly, Mion said something in such a low voice that it sounded like she was really cursing someone, and I didn't let it slide. Remember that thing where you said you'd be alone with Mion as little as possible? Because you'd be with Rena most of the time, right? Ooh. That doesn't look mildly concerning at all. I turned around on the ladder to face her and asked again.
ミオン、お前、今、なんて言った？
呪われてるって言ったの。
Mion, still holding onto the ladder, brought her head up to look at me in the eyes. As soon as our eyes met, an absolute zero jolt of electricity surged through my body. Ew. Mion's eyes clouded over, and within them boiled and bubbled a stew of chaos. They whirled around and around like the raging sea, and bubbles floated up to the surface. I had at some point been trapped on this ladder, like being cornered on a dead-end street.
ミオン、お前、なんて顔してんだよ。
I'd intended to follow that up with, "You're going too far with this joke," and give her a forced smile. However, on such uneven footing as I was, the only thing that came out of my mouth was a hoarse groan, as I desperately struggled to not let her nausea overwhelm me.
北条聡子はね、親代様のたたりを一身に受けた呪われた子なの。
Shitoko has, huh? Mion answers with a response to something I never asked, as if replying to somebody else's question.
公園の展望台から転落死したのは両親だけ。あの子をミソッカス扱いしてた冷たい両親だけが死んで、あの子は一人だけ助かった。
Wait, her parents treated her like dirt? Why?
引き取り先であの子をいじめたおばは、綿流しの夜に異常者に脳みそがぐっちゃぐちゃに飛び散って頭が原形をとどめないくらいにめった打ちにされて殺された。
Ah. So is it that being around her is a curse, or that treating her badly is a curse, maybe?
いつもあの子をかばってたサトシ君も。
Oh. Being around her.
あの子の誕生日に突然消えてしまった。あの子をいじめていなかったのに消されてしまった。警察は家出したんだって決めつけたけど、サトシ君は逃げ出すような人じゃなかった。いつも一生懸命、誰の力も借りずにコツコツと一人懸命に努力する人だった。たった一人の妹のために身を粉にして頑張ってたのに消されてしまった。あの子のためにだけに生きていたのに消されてしまった。
So wait, maybe Mion's in charge of the killings, but someone else is in charge of the disappearances?
かわいそうなサトシ君。 なんて報われないサトシ君。なんて恩知らずなあの子なの。あの子は呪われた子。あの子に近づけばそれが誰でも末路は同じ。たたりで死ぬかたたりで消えるか。あの子に安らぎなんてあるものか。あの子に安らぎなんてあるものか。リカちゃんが消えたのもきっとサトコのせいだよ。違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない。
Not the conversation you want to be having when you're on top of the ladder that that person is holding. Yeah. Mion was mumbling words over and over that were no longer coherent. Her shoulders were trembling so hard I could feel it through the ladder. I almost lost my footing, which made me realize just how far away the ground really was.
落ち着けよミオ。何のことを言ってるのかわからないよ。
I wasn't sure if she even heard me. Mion rocked back and forth. That rocking and trembling was becoming even more violent. Help me. The ladder. It's falling. Help me. Help. Right now. Just then, I heard the sound of many people running towards us.
おい。ここだ。
I very nearly said help me outright. 4 or 5 adults led by Rena ran over here with flashlights.
ケイチ君、みーちゃん、遅れてごめんね。鍵借りてきたよ。
お、助かったね。どうも窓も戸締まりは完璧らしくてね。
You switched very quickly. Do you... And the fact that she didn't show it until after Rena left. Maybe she doesn't want to show it to Rena? I don't know.
困ってた。
Yeah. You were getting worried. When I heard Mion talking like nothing had just happened, I again felt a chill running through me. The person currently holding the ladder in place, it was definitely Mion. It was real Mion Sonozaki. Then, the person muttering to themselves, just a few seconds ago. Who was that? The person who was mumbling about terrible things, like curses. Who was that? I jumped down from the ladder as if running away, before Mion turned into that person who wasn't Mion a second time. The adults tried a few different keys on the keyring as they tried to open the big shutter on the first floor.
リカちゃんの家はね、もともとは町会の防災倉庫だったの。だからシャッターの鍵を今でも村長さんの家が預かってるの。
今ではリカちゃんとサトコの指定だけど。
In the mayor's house, and he's one who disappeared. So many links.
まあもともとリカちゃんの家の敷地内だし、誰も文句は言わないけどね。
Mion gave me a smile as she said that. I, however, could only return her gaze with an aghast expression. Mion was acting all too normal now, but that only contrasted all more sharply with her earlier un-Mion-like creepiness. Bang! Bam! Clatter, clatter, bang! The shutter opened up for the first time in a very long while. Rena located the light switch and wasted no time going inside. I followed her in.
リカちゃん、サトコちゃん、いるなら返事をして。
We climbed a narrow staircase. It had looked like nothing more than a warehouse, but now that I was inside, I could feel how lived in it was. It was a person's home. Somehow the scent of the two of them filled the place. This was definitely where Rika-chan and Satoko lived. Satoko. The first floor doubles as a town assembly warehouse. It sounds like new music. But the second floor was a space entirely for living. Just like a one-room apartment, past the kitchen was a living room taking up about 150 square feet. Dressers, cupboards and the like were packed into the space, and in the corner there was a huge pile of clothes that appeared to have just been taken in from drying outside. In the centre of the living room was a fold-up table, and on it were small containers for things like soy sauce and salad dressing. The sense of a frugal lifestyle drifted from all of it. It was strange that they weren't here in the middle of the night like this. The adults, climbing the stairs one at a time, began to make a fuss and talk amongst themselves.
どう？やっぱりいない？
いない。絶対おかしい。
The village had just been thrown into chaos yesterday because of the mayor's disappearance. Then today, even Rika-chan and Satoko had. Were they out playing somewhere together? That can't be. Their bicycles aren't here though. Where would they have gone so late at night? Have they just not come back yet? Where did they go? The adults put forth various possibilities, and the house immediately devolved into a state of confusion. Eventually, Mion settled them down.
信じたくないけど、君吉の村長さんが消えたのが昨日の今日。無関係とは言い切れないね。
The adults' faces paled at Mion's declaration. Mai and Rena's did as well.
例えば、ご近所に行ってお茶でもごちそうになって眠っちゃって。
How would they have accidentally fallen asleep?
起こすに起こせなくなってるなんて可能性ももちろんあるよね。その可能性をまず潰そう。牧野さんは裏手から沢のあたりの家を回ってください。慶太郎さんはおじゃが池の方。岡村さんは。
Mion promptly gave directions to the villagers. The adults followed them without hesitation, despite her age.
私はここに残って電話で片っ端から心当たりに問い合わせてみます。じゃあ皆さん、そういうことで。
Got it. The adults all roared in reply and pounded back down the stairs below.
さすがみーちゃんだね。
This music.
みーちゃんは学校だけじゃなく、ひなみ沢の委員長さんみたいだよね。
茶化さない茶化さない。ほらどいて。おじさんは電話を使うんだから。
Mion grinned proudly, took the receiver and got started. Rena gave Mion a trusting look, considering her dependable for doing all this. My feelings, though, were a little more complicated, since her leadership seemed to be affirming the Sonozaki family successor impression that Shionodoi-san had given me. Stop right there, Keiichi Maibara. None of that matters right now. The most important thing is to make sure Rika-chan and Satoko are safe. Let's see, couldn't there be a clue hinting at where they might have gone, somewhere in this room?
とはいえ、そんなのわかるはずもないよな。
If we tore the whole place apart and figured out what was different from before, we might be able to speculate, but there was nothing strange about this room, and there were no clues in sight. In the first place, I had never been here before. There was no way for me to know what was different if I didn't know how the room usually looked. Hey, don't give up, Keiichi Maibara. Yeah, so police officers and detectives, I mean, they don't know what used to look like, so they have no chance of ever solving any case at all, no. Stop thinking and start looking. For something. In search of something, I tried pulling open the dresser drawers and opened the windows. I didn't uncover anything meaningful though. Rena, also unable to stand around doing nothing, was looking around the room like I
でも
was.
レナ、冷蔵庫や流しの下の棚とかを開いてもリカちゃんは見つからないと思うぞ。
隠れてるかなって思って。
As we were searching, it got noisy outside. Villagers were quickly assembling here, having heard the commotion. Of course, a lot of them were probably people Mion had called.
私、みんなに話をしてくる。遅かれ、警察も来るだろうしね。大石のやつにも事情を説明しなきゃ。
Mion began descending the stairs, and we followed her out to the front of the house. There were already about 10 adults there, and all of them looked uneasy. I suddenly noticed that the old people from the shrine were here as well. They were praying for Rika-chan's safety, rubbing their prayer beads. This had gotten bad. This wasn't just a problem between friends anymore.
ミオンちゃん、リカちゃまとサトコちゃんがいなくなったってのは本当かい？
The villagers all formed a ring around Mion, swarming her. Mion raised her right hand as if silently telling them to calm down.
誰かの家にお邪魔していないか、町会の回覧区分に沿って全校をまず調べよう。本人たちがこっちの気も知らずに誰かの家ですやすやとお泊まりしてる可能性もあるわけだからね。
It would definitely be hard for someone to wake up Rika-chan if she had eaten a good full meal and fallen asleep like a kitten afterwards. Oh, how nice it would be if that were the case.
こんなことは考えたくないけど、もちろん悪いことが起こった可能性もある。
Mion's face grew remarkably more grim, and waves of silence washed out over the adults.
我々も手分けしよう。昨夜の村長探しで回ったところをもう一度回る。
俺たちはダム現場をよく念入りに探してみる。お前さんたちは学校のあたりを探してみてくれ。
どうしたらはよ回らんと。行こう行こ
う。みんな昨日も村長さん探しで徹夜だったからね。寝不足で辛いだろうけど、どうかよろしく。
With that as their signal, the adults scattered in every direction. I figured I should scatter somewhere as well, so I started walking unsteadily in a direction no one else had gone in. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a smart decision. I was getting farther and farther from people. I didn't feel scared or anything though. If someone were made to disappear, Shion and I should be first. It would have been perfectly normal for me to be scared of the dark. However, I didn't feel that way. Why was that? It was because tonight, someone had already disappeared, so nobody else would disappear tonight. It would take some time before I, exhausted as I would feel guilt at the cause of my own selfish sense of relief. Ooh, that is some nice music. Oops. Suddenly my vision cleared, and a cold wind caressed my body. This was the hill from which you could see the whole village. Looking down from this hill, I could see lights on here and there, and knew the entire village had awoken from its slumber. First, Kano-san and Tomitake-san, then the mayor, and now even Rika-chan and Satoko had been sacrificed, and word of it was spreading everywhere. The strength in my knees left me. This could no longer be a joke. We could have found them. Mion would have told me I was worrywart. Rena would just be glad we did. And they would have smiled at me. My hopes disappeared as if I were awakening from a dream. That was what the view I could see was telling me. And following my knees, my arms had both bent forward to the ground, and I clawed at it with my nails. I couldn't figure out if I was feeling sorrow or frustration. I couldn't endure the burden of my own sin, and had just told Rika-chan about it. They had nothing to do with it, but Rika-chan and even Satoko had been sacrificed. It was like a cross that Shion and I would each have to bear the weight of until we ourselves were erased. Well, if I'm going that far, then the problem started long before that. My original sin of breaking taboo and entering the ritual storehouse without asking. I knew I shouldn't have gone in there from the start, yet I lost out to cheap curiosity. I hadn't felt so angry at myself until this very moment. There was a crunching sound. I wasn't even interested in who made the noise, despondent as I was. Please be Renner and not Mion. Or someone. Okay. Yes. It was Renner. Perhaps my clawing at the ground made it look as though I was having stomach pains. She ran over and rubbed my back, like she was trying to make me feel better.
圭一くんが何も悪いわけはないよ。自分をどうか責めないでね。
I could tell Rena was doing her best to choose the right words out of consideration for me. That's why I could sense her intent behind those words. Keiichi-kun, you know why Rika-chan and Satoko-chan disappeared, don't you? Is what she really meant to say. Because it was an emergency, Rena had ignored the reason why I wanted to make sure Rika-chan was safe, but now that we'd actually confirmed her disappearance, it was only natural Rena would start to wonder about why. However, with the situation having gone this far, I couldn't possibly tell her now. I didn't want to admit that Rika-chan and Satoko had disappeared, but I couldn't let Rena disappear either.
圭一くん、こんな風通しのいいところにずっといたら風邪ひいちゃう。
Rena sat down, bringing her eyes level with mine.
子供たちはね、もう解散して家で寝ろって。
Rena showed me her watch as she said that. It was long past 1 in the morning. Time was passing too quickly. Had I been crawling around here for that long?
もう寝ないと明日の学校に差し支えるよ。大人たちだって昨べも一晩中村長さんを探したからみんなクタクタ。今夜は少し早めに解散するって。
I was a little upset that they weren't allotting as much time to this as they had to search for the mayor last night. That was something I, the cause of everything, had no right to criticize them for.
大丈夫。さっきね、警察の人も来たの。今どんどん町から応援のパトカーが来てるよ。
Hearing that remark, I looked out of the village to see that there were indeed more cars than one would normally expect at this hour, coming from the darkness on the other side of the mountain. However, none of their emergency lights were on. Of course, their sirens weren't wailing either. That's right. All of the incidents that occurred right after Watanagashi was seen as a product of Oyashiro-sama's curse, and would be handled in secrecy. Rika-chan and Satoko too, their disappearance would end up exactly like the other serial incidents in the past. Surreptitious, unresolved, declared a mystery, and disappear from memory. Rika-chan's face, her sweet face, like a Western doll's, would fade away. Satoko's smile, her energetic, fanged smile, would fade away. The more I try to remember them, the less I would be able to. I deserve to be called an idiot dozens of times over. It wouldn't be enough. I couldn't hold back the tears at my own sheer stupidity.
圭一くんが何を自分に責めているかわからないけれど、もうやめよう。
I wasn't about to deny it. I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't affirm it either. I wanted to at least keep Rena out of it. If she found out, she would become involved.
頼む、レナ。放っておいてくれないか。俺きっと家に帰ったって眠れない。
If I couldn't get to sleep, then I at least wanted to search for Rika-chan and Satoko until I collapsed. The entire village was looking, yet they still hadn't been found. I don't think I'd be able to find them if I went looking alone at this point. Still, I had to do it.
俺のせいで消えてしまったんだ。他の探してくれてる人たちよりも先になんか眠れるものか。
I'd said that to myself in self-deprecation, but I soon realized that Rena was silently trying to find the meaning in my mumblings. I realized I had misspoke.
圭一くんのせいなの？どうしてそう思うのかな？
That can't be. Keiichi-kun, you're not at fault. I was happy that Rena said these things to me, but she only did so because she didn't know the truth. If she knew that everything had been caused by my breaking taboo on the night of Watanagashi, then even Rena would curse my existence. However, I can't even allow for those curses. That would mean confessing my own crimes to Rena. If I spilled even one word of having snuck into the ritual storehouse on the night of Watanagashi, then even Rena could disappear tomorrow night. The gentle, spirited, always joking, always howling. But at a time like this, The most dependent of the world, Rena might disappear. I don't want that. Anything but that. This time, I need to bear my own cross, alone.
圭一君がとても仲間思いだって知ってるから、自分を傷つけたくなる気持ちもよくわかるよ。だけどレナは圭一君のせいじゃないって知ってる。圭一君が悪くないって知ってるから。
Do you though?
知ってるって。
Shivering in my veins rushed up my back, replaced the sorrow in my heart with fear. I didn't tell her anything, did I? Maybe I accidentally said something that caused Rena to figure it out. This is bad. Now Rena will disappear. Rena will disappear. Rena will disappear. Then Rena, the same way I always did, grabbed my head and began to pet it roughly.
圭一君、ひょっとしてレナも消えちゃうかもしれないって思ってるのかな。お社様のたたりで。
She puts more force into the hand, rubbing my head.
だったら安心して。レナは消えたりしないよ。絶対に。
どうして消えないなんて
Because
自信を持って言えるんだよ。
Ayashiro-sama brought me here. I mean, someone's been sacrificed every night so far. There was no proof it wouldn't happen again tomorrow night. There was even less proof after all that the sacrifice wouldn't be Reno. I don't care who you are. Just please, if you're going to erase someone, erase me first. Please stop cruelly getting rid of people we're close to, like the mayor for Shion, Enrique-chan and Stoko for me. Shion's hysterical shouting came back to mind. They must be planning to kill us last of all. If they're not killing the first people who come to mind, they start by killing those we're close to. And then after they've caused us so much pain, they'll kill us. That must be what they're doing.
Rena.
Please don't disappear. Please don't. As long as I'm still here, I could no longer conceal the sobs welling up within me.
ほら、圭一君に涙なんか似合わないよ。みんなのところに行こう。婦人会の人たちがね、お味噌汁の炊き出しをしてくれてるの。飲むと温まって落ち着くよ。
Rena prompted me to stand. I didn't have the energy to oppose her, so I stood as she urged me to. We returned to the shrine grounds to find several gas stoves there with miso soup in big pots. The many villagers there sipped at the soup they were given in dead, stony silence. Their expressions were absolutely exhausted. Everyone had just been running around the village until a little while ago. From the dreary looks on their faces, though, I assumed they hadn't come up with anything yet.
ケイちゃん、どこ行ってたんだよ。ケイちゃんまでいなくなったのかと心配したよ。
すまん。
Mion held out some miso soup for me, but I refused the offer. I didn't have much of an appetite.
みーちゃん、どう？何か手がかりはあった？
Mion took a sip of her soup, her expression frank.
全然ない。学校が終わってから家に帰って2人で自転車に乗ってどこかに行ったらしい。しかも2人が自転車に乗った姿は全く目撃されていないし。
When it gets dark out in Hinamizawa, people quickly vanish from the streets. Aside from adults hurrying back home from town in cars or on bicycles, it was normal to see absolutely nobody walking around outside. It wasn't at all strange that nobody had seen Rika-chan and Stoko riding their bikes.
昨日の村長の時と同じ。お手上げだよ。
Mion's apathetic tone pricked my nose, but that anger quickly subsided. She'd been doing all sorts of things to try and find Rika-chan until just a second ago. If I'd asked her, she'd probably say she was up all last night too, looking for the mayor, wasn't she? She must have been far more fatigued than I was. Besides, what about me? I'd spent the time hunched over in indecision, all alone. I had no right to say anything about Mion.
ケイちゃんも辛いだろうけど今夜はこれで休もう。さっき今夜は解散しようってなったところだよ。 これを飲んだらもう終わりにしよう。
終わりなのか？
もちろん終わりじゃないよ。明るくなったら警察も増援を入れて徹底的に探すってさ。沖宮の方に行ってる可能性もあるからね。村長の件も含めて獅子骨市全体で目撃情報がないか洗うって言ってる。それよりもケイちゃんだよ。どこに行ってたんだい？いつの間にかいなくなっちゃうから心配したんだよ。
Suddenly I was on the receiving end, but I didn't have willpower to respond.
すまん。気をつけるよ。
何もなかった？怪しい人に監視されてるとか付け狙われてるとかそういうのはなかった？
Mion demanded of the serious expression. I was being criticized for how inconsiderate I had been, despite being in so much pain. I was frustrated that I was being criticized, but it was my sin. My sin, and I must bear it alone.
何もないよ。でも気をつける。すまん。
Mion, now aware that nothing had happened, heaved a big sigh with his shoulders, looking relieved.
おやおやおや。
And I think I'll finish it there for today. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. Until next time, see ya!